In this lesson, we wanted to include some information related to BGP operations. BGP neighbors go through a negotiation when first establishing their relationship. The BGP relationship is built via TCP session. The well-known port number for BGP is TCP 179, and we can see that in our lab examples. So here on switch 1, we can enter the command show IP BGP neighbor, and the output of that command can be pretty lengthy if you have a bunch of BGP neighbors to look at. We could narrow down what we're looking for with such commands as show IP BGP neighbors pipe include and then neighbor pipe address. And here our output is much more focused. Or another option could be to type show IP BGP neighbors pipe include and then capital TCP. And here we can see our neighbors and the TCP ports in use for the BGP session between them. Or if you want to focus on all the output for one specific BGP neighbor, we could use the command show IP BGP neighbors and then the neighbor's IP address 172.16.200.2. Some useful information here related to operations includes the BGP version number, if it's associated to a VRF, the inherited configuration from a peer group, the keep alive and hold timers, and the neighbor's capabilities, just to name a few. I'd expect that the most often used BGP command is likely show IP BGP summary. The output is pretty much as described, a nice summary of our neighbor addresses, their AS information, their states and prefix counts. Operationally, I often find myself hunting down routing information. Am I sending a certain prefix? Am I learning a certain prefix? And has the switch placed specific prefix into the fib or the actual routing table? We can see some of that with the output of show IP BGP, enter. Now, the output of this command is helpful to answer those questions, but it can be pretty lengthy if you have a lot of neighbors or a bunch of routes. So one way to tweak this down could be to use the command show IP BGP installed. This command helps to narrow down that list if we're focusing on getting the BGP details of some of the prefixes that we've actually installed into our routing table. When comparing the various paths a route may have, the show IP BGP and then the IP address of the route we're interested in is one of the best to use. For instance, we could type show IP BGP and then 172.16.0.2, enter. And in this output, we can see that there are two paths to reach this prefix, and the output provides a nice running list of all the specific BGP elements that we use to make a routing decision. The best keyword indicates which of the paths we're electing to place into the routing table. Now, not related to BGP, there is a great feature that Arista switches provide called Event Monitor. With Event Monitor, we get a database to keep track of our MAC, ARP, and route adds and deletes. This is incredibly helpful in getting information about when a route was added or removed, with that removed information often being the piece that we can't get from anywhere else. For example, let's focus on this route in the Event Monitor table. Show event-monitor, and then question mark when we see our options, ARP, IGMP snooping, MAC, mroute, route, or we could enter an SQLite statement. Here we'll use the keyword route, and then I'm going to pipe that to include specifically 172.16.0.2, the route that we were looking at above in the show IP BGP output. You can see in this output that we get timestamps of when a route was added, changed, or deleted, and what protocol it's associated with. So in the case of this specific route, which is a host route, we know about it via eBGP. Knowing when we received a route, in other words, the age of a route, can be found in several places. To me, the magic of this feature is that we get the information about when a route was removed, and then we can use that information to hunt down events either on this switch or on neighboring devices, and we have a time frame to work with. When trying to hunt down a problem, don't forget that regardless if the issue is layer 1, layer 2, or layer 3, This database provides incredibly useful information that you may not be able to find anywhere else. The summary of this lesson is that Arista provides us all the tools we need for our operational support of BGP. And additionally, with the Event Monitor feature, we get information that few other devices offer and which can save you precious time during those tense operational moments.